Hey guys, we're in our series called On the Mount, and it's all about the Sermon on the Mount, which is Jesus, one of his most famous teachings, if not the most. Put it in comparison, it's kind of like, you know how Abraham Lincoln, you always think of him and the Gettysburg Address. For Jesus, if you're thinking of famous teachings of Jesus, Sermon on the Mount is probably going to fall right in there. And today we're going to talk about one of the passages on the Sermon on the Mount that has so much to it. It's so much in a little tiny package that it's going to be hard to almost unpack all of it. I kind of compare it to like a multivitamin. Do you guys know like those little Flintstones chewables and stuff like that your parents give you? And you're like, it's not anybody vitamin, what's it gonna do? And then you read the back of the bottle and it's like 8 million things of zinc and like 30,000 vitamin C and it's got chalk in it. And why do I need chalk? And it's like an orchard of bananas. All that stuff is in this tiny little vitamin. Well, what I'm getting at is, in this passage, there is a lot in a small package for us to unpack, and we're gonna do that today. Now, before we start, I wanna talk about fails. How many of you watch fail videos on YouTube? I flipping love fail videos. There's something great and hysterical about watching people fail. I don't know if you do this, but I do. And we watch these videos of people like trying, obstacles or landing into a creek and then they land on their back or the rope breaks and you just want to chuckle because half the time they're doing things they probably shouldn't do and they're kind of not being very smart about doing it. So my favorites are the ones that are people like, hey, I'm gonna jump off the roof and land into the baby pool, and then he completely misses the baby pool and lands on his gas grill. And we love to laugh at these people and we judge them a little bit and we go like, what an idiot, because we think to ourselves, I would never do that. I would never do that. So they're an idiot and I'm smart. They're dumb, I'm smart. On fails, it seems to be okay because I think that people are kind of going for that. But we do this in real life too, and that's what this passage is getting at. So read with me, Matthew chapter 7, verse 3. This is Jesus' words. And it says, and why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of the speck in your eye when you can't see past the log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First get rid of the log in your own eye. Then you can see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. What does that even mean? Remember, multivitamin, a lot in a small package. Jesus is basically saying, you know something? Be careful when you start thinking that you can judge others. Don't tear other people down because you yourself have made mistakes. Or to put it another way, let me tell you like in our big idea. Our big idea is don't tear other people down to lift yourself up. Don't tear other people down to lift yourself up. See, we do this sometimes. We love to look at other people, their failures, their mistakes, and we go, well, at least I'm not them. Or that's them. I'm better than that. And if you are not careful, you start to think, well, I wouldn't do that, Chad. You might be saying that now. You might be like, I don't tear people down. I'm above that. I think we all do this. I've heard all of you do it, including I've done it. Let me give you some examples. Like when we're talking about school and we go, oh, that's the bad kid. Or those 2, 3, 4 guys in my class, they're the bad kids. They're so bad. Because maybe they talk back to the teacher or they make mistakes, or maybe they threw a fit and they got taken to the principal's office. Or maybe it's the girl that makes really questionable mistakes. Or maybe it's the girl that gossips all the time and so you decide to gossip about her. Gossiping, that's my favorite. It's like she gossips all the time. She's such a gossip. So are you. We do this. And don't think this is just a teenager thing. Oh, heavens no. Adults do this too. We love to tear other adults down. If it's someone that's made a mistake in the newspaper, we publish it in the newspaper about how they've made a mistake and they're going to jail or they're on trial or politicians that were like, oh my gosh, that person's so evil. We love to tear other people down and point out the speck in their eye, and it makes us feel better about ourselves. But there's a problem with this, guys. Problem with this is that we all sin. Every one of us. In the eyes of God, we're all the bad kid. Sad, but true. How do you think God feels when he sees that all of us sin? And the Bible's really clear on this. All of us sin. All of us make mistakes. All of us fall short of God's standards. And yet we're trying to judge and rate other people like, well, I'm bad, but you're really bad. And God's like, no, y'all need me. You're all my kids. I love y'all. So, how do we avoid this? How do we avoid judging others? How do we avoid calling out the speck in other people's eye when we have a log in our own? Well, here's a couple things I wrote down. First, I think we need to recognize that we make mistakes, all of us, and don't rate them. I think we gotta recognize that we all make mistakes, every single one of us, and stop rating the mistakes. It's like, well, I do bad things, but they do really bad things. We do this with our siblings all the time too. Or you may be making some mistakes in school, but well, at least I'm not that kid. Stop. We all make mistakes, we all sin, and we're all kids of God. Second thing is check your motives. Check your motives. Before you start talking about anyone, why? Why? Unless it is to uplift them in some way, just be quiet. Because that's God's kid. So knock it off. And lastly, go to others to help them, not hurt them. So if you're actually going to care about those people, if you're going to care about that other kid, have an agenda to help them. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be best friends with every kid that's going through some bad stuff. I'm not saying that. But here's what I'd recommend. Some kids you can befriend. Like some kids that are going through stuff and maybe they've made some mistakes and they have the speck in their eyes, you can befriend them. Some kids, maybe you're not gonna befriend them, but maybe you'll defend them at least. And other kids, you're just gonna be kind. So either befriend, defend, or be kind. Which is it? But all kids, every single person you can encounter, you can do one or all of those. Befriend, defend, and be kind. I'm gonna leave you with a quote from a famous comedian from a couple years ago. His name was Robin Williams, and he said, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So be kind, always. I think that's a good quote to leave us on today. So go out there, be different, worry about your own stuff that's going on, and be careful that you don't tear other people down for what's going on in their life. We love you guys. Have a great week.